Check that out. That beautiful prime rib. Oh man. Let me tell you, if you ever want some just really good eating prime rib, mashed potatoes, and some bourbon or a good dark beer, hey, that's what goes together. And that makes for a good holiday meal. Something simple. It doesn't have to be complex. Something simple can be the finest meal of all for a holiday. So, consider this, and good eating. Hello. Welcome back to Texas Cooking. Today, we're going to be doing a prime rib, or what's also known as a rib roast, sometimes called also a standing roast or standing rib roast. The reason they call it standing is it's up on the bones of the ribeye. Now this is the same cut of meat that your ribeye steak is. It's just being roasted, a larger portion of it. Something that's really important when you're going to buy one of these pieces of meat. Now you're going to spend a lot of money, alright? That's just straight off the top. This one's 5 pounds. And I feel I got a pretty good deal on it. It was about about $40. So anyway, what you're going to ask the butcher to do is to please cut the chine off and retie it. Now what that means is to cut that bone structure away from the meat, and then to take string and retie it on there. Now any competent butcher will not even hesitate to do this, okay, because this is something they commonly do, and a lot of times when you get to a butcher shop or at the grocery store in some cases, the meat will already be tied for you. It'll already be done and in a package and ready to go. So what I'm going to be doing to this is smoking it to begin with. I want a nice smoky flavor on it. Hey, I'm a Texan, this is Texas Cooking, that's the way we like to do things. It's raining today, so I'm going to be out in the rain preparing a smoked roast. Okay, how cool is that? Anyway, what I'm going to do on this roast first is season it, plain salt and pepper seasoning, and then I'm going to place it down in a hot frying pan at a high heat. We're going to sear it. And the idea behind that searing is it burns, or not, and rather doesn't burn, but rather it caramelizes the blood on the exterior of the meat and allows a hardened layer to form that traps juices inside of the roast. So it's a good way to preserve the roast and to protect it. And when you're smoking it, it's a good first step for a cut like this if you really want to protect it and keep it juicy. Now this is going to come out juicy. It's got a lot of fat in it. There's a lot of marbling in this roast, both in the outer band as well as the center meat here. And of course this is what's nice about this cut. This is from the larger end of the roast, just a little bit in from it. Is you get this heavy banding here and this thick band of meat, and that's one of the reasons people like the big end. This thing will taper down. This will get a little wider and thinner, and this kind of disappears or dissipates toward the smaller end of this cut of meat, which is usually about 2 feet or a little bit longer. So it's been tied. I'm ready to take this out and smoke it as soon as I sear it. I'm going to start by prepping it with a little salt and pepper. Now when you're going to do this, go ahead and be liberal with your spices. After all, you're spicing a roast and there's a lot of meat there to season. It doesn't get to the heart meat too well. Now, something about pepper grinders, by the way. I usually don't tout brands. I don't like to mention brand names, but in this case I think it really makes a difference. You see how this little thing kicks it out really fast? Well, the nice thing about this, it doesn't grind the pepper, it actually crushes it down here, and it gives you much more even flakes. The William Bounds brand, that's the brand that I can find these things in, and they work better than any other grinder I've ever used, and they last 10 times longer. So yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more, about 30% more to get one of these, and it's worth every penny. Go ahead and do it. So, looky there, so you can see the chine real easily that way. Chine, that's just a reference to the bone structure, also to backbone, and once again, any butcher will understand what we're talking about, unless he's the new apprentice and he's been there 3 days. There he goes. good heavy crusting of this. Now something else you can do to your meat that'll help it is you can coat it with olive oil. That's a neat thing to do before roasting. But always, please always, first sear this guy. That's going to make the biggest difference of all. It's going to really lock in the juices. It's going to make it a very good roast. So go out, spend a little money. Get it. The other thing, how do you know when it's done? How do you know when this center part right up in here is finished? Get you a meat thermometer and push it right up in there. Now I'm going to insert this one from this side right down into the meat just like so. That way when I turn the roast, it'll make it quite easy to read in the oven or on a grill. And you're going to see how to smoke on a grill here in just a little bit. We're going to have this guy up in there and it's going to tell me just how warm my heart meat is. And I won't mess up my roast. I want to keep it nice and cool in there, and I want to roast it at a slow temperature or a low temperature so it'll cook slowly. And when it's finished, I think this roast is going to be absolutely fabulous. So we're going to go through the steps here in just one moment. Okay, here we are as promised. I said it was raining today. It is. It's cold, cold. Snow's about to move in. It's cold rain. December in Dallas. Now, what I'm going to do to smoke that roast, I'm going to lift up one of these grates. You notice inside here I have a little pan. This is one of those old pans out of a small size toaster oven. I'm going to keep this up in here, and I'm going to turn this burner on. I might have this one on for a period, and we're going to heat up some chunks of wood about so large. These smoke really well. Smaller pieces don't last very long, but these hold up real well and they smoke slowly. As soon as they start smoking, I lower the heat, we put the roast in, we start the roasting. There we go. Got 4 burners. I want to keep the left side on and put my roast over to the right on a broiler. Well, we're back inside from the rain, and we're going to get to the roast now. I mentioned before that sometimes you can put an oil over this to seal it. I recommend just a simple rub. All you have to do is just rub the 2 ends. The chine on the bottom protects it from losing moisture down here. The fat on top prevents it from losing moisture up here. So I'm not too worried about any of that. Now what I have going on right down here in my skillet, it's heating up. And I want that sucker to get really hot because when I put this meat on there, I want to sear these faces. And I want these to caramelize nice and smooth so that it will seal it from losing moisture. Now some will say that will also prevent it from getting smoke penetration into the meat, and it will reduce the effectiveness of the smoke penetration, yes, but it will not stop it completely. And this makes a wonderfully smoked roast if you do it this way, because you have that succulent, juicy side to it mixed up with the smoky flavor, especially towards the ends. It's just absolutely fantastic. People in my family fight for the end cut sometimes. So that's what's happening. Now I'll use these nitrile gloves sometimes to speed the process of cleaning. There, I've washed. Finish seasoning up this other side. It's great how that grinder drops. Salt. You can go heavy on the salt and pepper on a roast, because remember, it's a roast. And this crust, some of that's going to get cooked off. Nope, that's nowhere near warm enough. We're going to wait a little bit, and as this thing heats up, we're going to get to searing. Okay, we are back again. This sucker is heated up. There we go. This is called searing. Now, for this to work, the surface temperature up here on the meat, the surface, has to become 300 degrees. And that's the reason I want the pan extremely hot when it hits that heat. I don't want there to be any delay in getting that, because I don't want that heat to penetrate very deep into this roast. So the searing process is naturally a fairly quick one. It doesn't last very long. I'm not trying to get a dark brown or anything. I'm just trying to seal. And once again, very important to note that you only need to seal it's so sweet. The smell of that olive oil and the searing of the meat. Just a sweet, sweet smell. And just your nose will be surprised. Just the olive oil must seal on. Now, we're ready to smoke. Look at the other side on that. See there? Good sear on it. Some of the spice, like I mentioned, came off in the skillet. We'll do that. Be aware and be prepared. Now you can go in from either side on this, but you want to hit heart meat. So you kind of get your right angle, hold the roast, and then just insert that sucker. There we go. Now, the thermometer will tell me the core temperature of that roast, and I won't have any problems at all. I just got to set it on the grill now. There we are. I'm not going to film that part, but we're going to film it after it's been cooked and what it looks like to slice it. Okay, well, we've got our roast in from the grill. If you remember right, we put it out there on the grill using a smoking technique that is set up for just grills. Works really well. It was cooking most of its time between 225 and 250. So a really good temperature, a nice slow temperature to cook one of these roasts up, and it helps to distribute that pink color on the inside more towards the outer edges, so it's a lot more even. Now, if you notice, this has just hit 140, okay, and right now I took this out about, I'd say 6-7 minutes ago. It is resting at the moment. I'm going to let it keep on resting. Look at the beautiful color on the side of this. Now, that is going to look gorgeous. Here's the thing of this, and I'm going to show you how to do this in a little bit. We're going to cut that chine loose in a bit so it plates up pretty for carving, and that way you can do a tableside carve or something to that effect. That way people can be a little more impressed with it. Okay, now if you notice I haven't pulled this out, I'm going to leave it in there. You pull that out and suddenly you're just going to see a geyser of juice come out. You don't want that. You want those juices to distribute evenly and to pull back in just a little bit, and that's why we're going to let it rest. So it needs about 15-20 minutes just to sit there like that, untouched. Mashed potatoes are ready. I've got some béarnaise sauce back there that I fixed up real quick, and this is my Christmas meal. Hey, this is going to be a feast for me. I am looking forward to it. So Merry Christmas to everyone, and I hope your meal came out as well. Okay, we're back, and it's been about 20 minutes. I'm ready to cut this roast up. Okay, now what I'm going to need to do is to pull that thermometer out of there. See if it's cooled down enough. Yeah, there we go. Now, I want to remove the chine. So what I need there is a good sharp knife. Find a small herring knife here. There we go. Pull that string back. You can be real neat and do it with the tongs if you wish, or just use your fingers, whatever cranks your nut. Now, the fun part. Pull this back. There we go. See how it came right off? It's got a nice flat base. I can set it right down there on the plate. It looks absolutely gorgeous that way. And it's ready to carve that way. Isn't that neat? What do you know? Now I'm going to take a look at this. See which side I decide I want to start carving from. Oh man, they both look so good. I'm going to start right here. steady your meats. All you have to do. Give it a nice, smooth stroke when carving. There we go. Beautiful pink. Nice, nice medium. In the middle, it's going to be closer to a medium rare. But if you'll notice, I mentioned before, we want to keep the gray away from the edges. We got a little bit of gray here, but the rest of it is a good even pink. That is a very good even cook. I'm quite proud of that one. So, there you have it. How to smoke a ribeye and what it's going to be like after the fact. Oh my goodness. You guys are in for some good eats. So, good eating. Put some bourbon with this, with your mashed potatoes and beef, and or good beer, a nice robust beer. It's a great way to eat that. Okay. Hey, this has been Texas Cooking, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year to all.